Right, good afternoon and welcome to your tropical outlook on this Saturday, the 8th of November. I'm sitting down at my dad's here in Kirkintilloch, just outside Glasgow, and we are going to be heading out shortly for a nice bit of food and a few drinks as well. So, hope you're enjoying your weekend. It's been quite nice and relaxed down here, I must admit. And yes, obviously there's no stream this weekend. Back again next Saturday night at probably 7 p.m. But yep, the Atlantic appears to be shut down for another year. As you can see here from NHC, there is no threat in the Atlantic over the next 7 days, and there is no real threat going forward. And likewise for the East Pacific, it looks as if it is rather quiet out there. That being said, we do have some activity in the western portion of the Pacific. We did see Kalmegi move through the Philippines, causing devastating floods. Then it moved into the north of Vietnam and made landfall there. We've now got the Typhoon Vogan that is now moving into the central portion of the Philippines. I think this is landfall 21 of the 2025 season. So, probably the hardest hit area anywhere on the planet with regards to tropical systems. This is not good news given the scenes that we have seen coming out of the Philippines during the course of the past week. But if I play this video here, this is of Kalmegi making landfall in Vietnam over the last day or so here. So I'll check this out, see what's happening there, and then we'll continue with the video.
Waters may be receding in Vietnam, but the road to recovery stretches far ahead.
Many houses had their roofs blown off, and there's no water or electricity.
The typhoon knocked out power to 1.6 million people. Now teams, including soldiers, are working to restore it. Army personnel have also been called in to help with rescue efforts, but the damage and human cost to Vietnam is still being revealed.
The waves were higher than the roof, around 7 metres, 2 stories tall.
This 26-year-old shrimp farmer says his business has been wiped out.
I have nothing left except what I'm wearing. I'm empty-handed.
Further along the coast, desperate locals pick through what remains of their fishing village. Dozens of homes were destroyed when huge waves pounded the coastline.
The waves were too high. I have no idea where we'll live. There's nothing I can do.
Low-lying areas were swamped, leaving smashed fishing boats and debris littered through the streets. Vietnam's disaster management agency reported damage to almost 3,000 homes. The task ahead has left communities reeling in despair.
My house has withstood previous storms. This time it took the whole house and everything in it.
And the region faces a fresh alert, with Typhoon Vogan strengthening at sea as it heads towards the Philippines. Jenny Lavelle, ABC News.
So that's from ABC News based in Australia, and it looks as if this could be a super typhoon as it makes a landfall in the Philippines over the next couple of days. So certainly has been, it was a fairly slow start to the typhoon season in the West Pacific as well as the Atlantic, but over recent times it has really picked up. So you can see here in this graphic of Wikipedia showing that the systems during June, July and August were all relatively weak, but then as we moved into the September, October time frame, some of those storms became much more powerful, and I think it was a pretty record-breaking week start to the Pacific season. But up until now, there has been 26 storms. And there's been, according to Wikipedia, it's one super typhoon officially. So, these are the tracks, and you can see a very, very distinct congregation of tracks that have came in off the Pacific into the central and northern portions of the Philippines. Southeast China's been hit pretty hard, including Henan. and then, of course, into the north of Vietnam. I think this here track is the Typhoon Kalmegi that just made landfall there. And this is obviously coming in the back of what, about at the end of October, Vietnam recorded 1,700 millimeters of rain within a 24-hour period, which is the second highest 24-hour rainfall, either at least in Asia, if not globally. So certainly Vietnam has been extremely hard hit in recent times from extreme weather, and obviously our thoughts go to the folks there. But in terms of this next system, Phuong Nguyen, you can see here off the GFS model, the system then ploughs into the central portion of Luzon in the north of the island nation, and then it actually takes a curve. It looks as if it's heading for southeast China. It looks as if the center of the system, according to the GFS, just scrapes the east coast, if not just stays slightly offshore. And then it actually looks as if it's, as a weakened, much weakened system, it then threatens the southwest of Taiwan as a pretty much fades apart completely by the time it reaches Taiwan. Be interesting to see if there's much activity after this system moves through, or whether that is near the end of the Pacific season. In terms of tropical strike probability, this is off the ECMWF. You can see that there is a small threat here in the southeast portions of the African continent. Again, a little bit there over the region, anywhere from the Philippines up towards southeast China and Taiwan. Obviously a hotbed for tropical cyclone activity anyway. The Atlantic, nothing really to look at. And then as we move into the following week, this is Monday the 17th through the 24th of November, you can see here that we've got an area highlighted over the Bay of Bengal, and off the Southeast Asia coast here, there's an area that is highlighted, but not so much further north. We're obviously seeing, like we see in the Atlantic, stronger shear through the tropical belt. So Japan now, obviously, we're starting to see colder air now coming in off Siberia. The season is now advancing, and the tropical season is winding down. You tend to get South China Sea into the Bay of Bengal this time of the year, in the run-up to Christmas, actually. This is the region that you would watch also off North and East Australia. Cyclone season is beginning to kick in. So we're obviously changing from one season to the next. Obviously, the focus of tropical activity then shifts down towards Southeast Asia, and northern portions of Australia continue to play through. You can see here that any activity is going to be on the eastern hemisphere side of the planet. So moving on, let's have a quick look at the model here with regards to the Atlantic. This is off the ECMWF. And we've got a major shot of cold air, potentially record-breaking cold for the time of the year, moving into the eastern side of the United States. We could even see freezing temperatures all the way into North Florida. So obviously you've got that dip in the jet. So essentially, the season's done. The season is pretty much done in the Atlantic Basin. Even, you're not getting the same kind of wave activity coming off Africa, for example, either. So that is that. Just wanted to go back here. This was an interesting one here. There's a very real possibility that Melissa was, in fact, the strongest hurricane ever observed in the Atlantic Basin. So there's obviously going to be some very in-depth reanalysis of Melissa by the National Hurricane Center in Miami. But, there was that record drop zone measured a 252 mile per hour gust. It's a tweet originally from Andy Hazelton that flew with the Hurricane Hunters into the system back at the end of October. But a tweet here by Michael Ferragamo showing that there's a real possibility that Melissa was the strongest ever. Gusts likely in excess of 230 miles per hour. Some of the intensity of damage caused to the southwest communities of Jamaica is evidence that those winds were in excess of 200 miles per hour, equivalent of an EF5 tornado. But it'll be very interesting to see what their reanalysis comes up with regarding Melissa. And you can just see here the capture here of satellite imagery. This is the before the system with all the greenery, and look at how much defoliation was caused, stripping off the leaves, creating a bare look to just mile after mile of forest in that part of the country. Just absolutely astonishing stuff. So Kalmegi is now gone. It's now raining itself out over Vietnam. We've got the next system moving in towards the Philippines that will eventually head towards mainland China, possibly curving and fading up towards the island of Taiwan. This is an interesting one here. This is 12 of the 45 Category 5 hurricanes in the Atlantic. This is again from Michael Ferragamo. Look at the differences in sizes. Quite an interesting one here. These are a sample of 12 of the most recent Category 5 hurricanes. Melissa, they're right in the centre. But yeah, quite an interesting satellite image of those 12 Cat 5s. Let me just see here. There was a couple of other things that I wanted to share with you before I go. So Kalmegi strengthened to 130 mile per hour Category 4 as it approached Vietnam. And since 1945, I think it made landfall as a Cat 3, I believe. But since 1945, a Category 4 typhoon has never made landfall in Vietnam. If Kalmegi maintains intensity, it'll be the first on record and it would surpass Yagi in 2024 as the strongest typhoon. Let me just see here. I'll just go into this here for a second and see if there's anything else of interest. The amount of damage that was caused, not only to the Philippines, but even Vietnam, is pretty astonishing. And the amount of flood damage in the Philippines was truly devastating. So 5 died due to Typhoon Kalmegi in Vietnam. Death toll from flooding in the Philippines has risen to 188, which is devastating stuff. People actually having to break through their roofs to escape the floodwaters. So very, very sad situation there. In terms of, look at that there. So this is from Global Times back 12 hours ago. You just see the amount of devastation. Absolutely unbelievable. I just don't know how people can continuously rebuild after these systems. I think, the Philippines averages 12 or is it 20 hits per year, I think. So 204 deaths, 109 missing, and affected 2.91 million people. The good thing about this, Fung Wong is heading north of Manila. Obviously, Manila being an extremely highly populated metropolis, it's heading towards an area still home to probably a couple of million people, by the way, in northern Luzon, but thankfully it's missing out. It looks as if Manila in terms of landfall, but pretty serious stuff. Now, in terms of the United States, I googled this one and asked the question: when was the last time the United States did not have a landfall and hurricane in a season? And you have to go back to 2015, so it's 10 years ago since the last time the US has not received a hit from a hurricane. It has had one tropical storm, which was Chantal. Obviously, 2025, no hurricane hits in the United States, but it did produce 3 Category 5 hurricanes, which is the first, and ties 2005 as the most in one season in the Atlantic Basin. But yeah, the United States has been quite fortunate this year. Unfortunately, Jamaica, Cuba, parts of Haiti as well, not so fortunate in terms of missing anything. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it for today. Going to be winding these tropical outlooks down now. I think I'm going to maybe do one next weekend talking about the forecast that was put out back at the end of May and comparing the reality of the season overall. Join me tomorrow. I will have an uploaded video for the global weather report, so stay tuned for that. And then I'll be back again, as always, on Monday with the European outlooks, looking at some really interesting things in the model with regards to some colder weather. So stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe, as always. Greatly appreciate everybody's support. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Bye for now.